All right, kids, time to come up for the children's story. I bet nobody can guess what it's about.
Is it about baseball? I see that baseball bat in your bag.
Yeah? You're really, really close.
Or is it about softball?
It could be about both. But you know what? Some of you may not know this about Miss Teacher Keeney. When I was in elementary school, I don't even remember what grade, but my dad really liked baseball. And so he had my sister and we played City League softball. And I had my team, and I loved it. And I loved it when we did at school, when we did softball at school. And then later on, when I got older, you know what? Some of you may not know this, but the Tri-City Adventist churches together had a women's softball team, church league softball team. And I played on that team. I don't know if anybody out there played with me. I know Cindy Schock was on our team, Anita Liebold. But you know what? We could probably count on one hand how many times we won. But we had the best time. In fact, I think we got a couple of trophies because the team that was always in last place, they gave them a trophy. So we got a couple trophies. But you know what? We had the best time, and it didn't matter if we were losing or not. We always had a smile on our face. So I learned something while I was playing, and then, growing up, my dad would always watch the Seattle Mariners. So I knew a lot. What are some things you need to play a game of softball or baseball?
A baseball bat, bases, and also a ball.
What about this?
You need a field, and you need a mitt, and you need
There's lots of tools you need to play the game, right? What else do you need besides a bat, a ball, a glove, a field? I heard it.
You forgot about the bases.
Oh, and the bases, you need a team. So what are some of the players that you need on your baseball team?
Not even any people.
But what are the positions?
Outfielder.
An outfielder. So there's left field, right field, center field. Who's the person the pitcher? You know what position I played? When I played City League, I was the second baseman. And I remember one time I jumped up, caught the ball, and then I tagged somebody out and I made a double play. It was really impressive. And you know what? I have another story. This is kind of off, but you know what? When Brandon was little, I put him on a t-ball team. And you know what? He was the first baseman. What's the job of the first baseman? So after they hit the ball, somebody catches it and they throw it to first base and they hit the bag and that person's out. But Brandon was just little and he was just learning. And you know what he did? He was the first baseman, and actually I was the coach, and I was like, Brandon, okay, they're going to throw that ball to you. And when they hit it, you got to run to the bag and be ready. And so the other team, they got up there and they hit the ball. You know what Brandon did? Brandon ran to second base. So he was a little bit confused on what his role was and what his job was. But you know what? We kept practicing, and pretty soon he got to where he was probably a pretty good first baseman. And then he knew that when they hit the ball, you go and you wait for them to throw it to you at first base. Do you think that a baseball team would win if the pitcher didn't show up?
No.
What about if it's time? What about if it's time to go out in the field and the shortstop decided, you know what? I'm tired of playing and I'm just going to sit on the bench and I'm not going to go out and play. So they'll do fine without a shortstop.
That's a penalty for him.
Do you think that would make for a good, strong team? What about if the first baseman said, I'm just going to stay in the dugout. They'll do fine without a first baseman. Would they do good? No. So a team, if you have a baseball team, you need the first baseman to be at first base. Where should the second baseman be? Second base. You need everybody to be out there, and you can all work together so that you can win your game, right? Do you know what? We're on a team that's not a baseball team. We're also a team. Everybody in this building is a team. We're on Team God at the Richland Seventh-day Adventist Church. Do we all have a role? Do we all have a job? And you know what? It's unfortunate, but you know what? God has chosen each of us to do something, and sometimes some people choose to say, I don't think I'm going to do that job. I'm just going to sit on the bench. And then maybe somebody else is going to have to step up and do their job for them. So I want you to think about when you see baseball or when you come to church, God has a job for you. He has created you to do something special. And if Team Richland Seventh-day Adventist Church is going to do amazing work in our community, and we're going to share Jesus with everybody in our community, we need everybody to step up and do what God has called them to do. Right? Okay, I want you to remember that, and you can go back to your seats.